Hey y'all. So, I've been thinking about something for a while, and I've been thinking about how amazing this is. I want to focus on what some might say a very arbitrary word, but a very important word for everyone to remember. And that word is one. See, we all have people in our lives that I believe God has created specifically for us, specifically to get into our problems, specifically to help us through life, specifically for anything and everything, really. But I see no great example of this than at the very beginning of the scripture. If you were to turn with me to Genesis 2, 7, and 18. Again, that's Genesis chapter 2, verses 7 and 18. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. I want to stop right there for a second. We see God has already been so gracious to create the plants to which give us oxygen, which provides free air, free automatic oxygen, and to create the animals, the stars, the moon, the sky, and the whole galaxy. But we see he is even more so gracious here. He's even more gracious to create man. And not only that, but in between the verses I'm going to read, verses 7 and 18, in between them, God sets this man called Adam in this utopia, in this Garden of Eden that he's made. And he sets it apart, he sets him apart to enjoy it, to enjoy the fruits of God's labor, basically, because he enjoys being in communion with the children that much that he wants to give us the absolute best right from the start. He gave Adam dominion over everything he's created, only being subservient to God himself. Other than that, he gave Adam dominion over everything he's created. He just told him not to eat of the tree of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but I'm not gonna get into that today because you don't know how it went. But we see God has already graced us to create man in the first place, the first man, and put him in this utopia that he didn't even have to work for, that God created himself out of his almighty power and generosity to be enjoyed by mankind. Get down to verse 18. We see God's generosity and God's understanding and God's sympathy on maybe an even greater level. Verse 18. And the Lord God said, he looked at man, he said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. Ladies and gentlemen, not so much a romantic partner, but God will never let any of the children walk through this life alone. Even if it's just one person, which I can guarantee you I can guarantee you there are probably more that we get into problems on a daily basis. But even if it's just one person who understands you on an even deeper level than anyone else, because God created them just for you. That person is out there. And I'm talking about friendship. I'm talking about a bond, a brotherhood or sisterhood, a kinship that goes far beyond the romantic bond. A kinship where you feel comfortable with the person. You feel comfortable with the person. You feel understood with the person. You feel loved. You feel safe. Now, you all know how it went with Adam and Eve, but that's not really my point. My point is, God will never allow any of the children to walk through this life alone. Because He knew this life was going to get hard. Because He's omniscient. He's omnipresent. He knows all. He sees all. And He knew this was going to get hard for Adam after a while. So He created help comparable to Him. He created Eve. You're one person, this one person out there that understands you and will listen to you more than anything. They do exist. They are out there. And sometimes they can be hard. Sometimes they can be nerve-wracking. And sometimes they can be a bit frustrating that you've not found that one. I completely understand. But it is my firm belief that God creates at least one person for everybody out there. And again, I'm not particularly talking about romance. A kinship that goes much deeper than that, sometimes frivolous activity. But someone who you feel comfortable and someone who you feel safe with. God created that one just for you. I wholeheartedly believe because He loves you. And He wants to keep you safe and He wants to protect you. And He knows you can't get through this life alone. None of us can. None of us can without someone to talk to, without someone we feel safe with, without someone who we feel understands us. None of us can get through this life alone. None of us can survive just in solitude. And I want to paraphrase a quote I read. Unfortunately, I didn't pen this. I wish that I did, but it's really beautiful. Basically, it says, I'd rather listen to your story than read your obituary. And those people may be hard to find. True friends are hard to find. A true connection with someone is harder to find than anything. But these people do exist. People do care about you. You are valued. You are loved because God created you. God took time to create you. And not only that, He took time to create another person that is going to understand you, is going to listen to you, is going to make you feel like the most valuable person on the planet. Because God loves you, ultimately, and He wants the best for you. Sometimes the devil can try to drag you down, make you feel you're worthless, make you feel you're not worth listening to. But, ladies and gentlemen, if God created you, if you're here right now, that automatically means you have value, you have worth, and you are loved. Even if it's just by that one person that God created specifically for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I love you. God bless you, and I'll see you next week.